Hello and welcome to the Spotlight Games podcast. This week we're discussing the Super Mario Bros. Movie trailer impressions of the Steam Deck. We have some news to talk about, and it's another week of Spooklight Games. We're going to be discussing the scariest enemies and bosses in video games. And joining me for all of this is a very special guest, Mando, aka Chunklets and Mongu. Mando, thank you for joining me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for having me. This
Of course.
this is awesome. We're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. For those of you who maybe didn't listen to last episode, Cayman, my normal co-host, just got married this weekend. We were up in the mountains of Georgia celebrating his love with his now beautiful wife, Sydney. So he's probably listening to this somewhere on Thursday when this goes live on podcast services. So everybody, send your love to Cayman. Congratulations. It was a beautiful wedding. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little
Congratulations,
bit.
Cayman.
Yeah, man. But Mando, our audience may not be as familiar with you. So let's get to know Mando a little bit before we jump into the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and like your gaming history.
A little bit about myself. Well, I mean, gaming related. I was doing a gaming podcast with my good friend Alyssa Rosa. And we no longer do that podcast, but I have news coming up soon that I'll share with you.
Okay.
And I mean, during my day job, I do communications for a nonprofit.
Cool.
And I don't know. I've been playing games forever. It feels like literally my whole life.
Yeah.
Fortunate enough, my older brother is 8 years older than me. So I'm born in 1990. By the time like 92 rolls around, he's 10. He has a Nintendo. Eventually gets a Super Nintendo. Just make a long story short, I end up owning or like having in my household every console ever, except for a GameCube and a Nintendo 3DS. One, I didn't want the Nintendo 3DS.
Sure.
And then the GameCube, my older brother didn't want one because he was the one buying all the consoles, fortunately enough for me. And my report card wasn't good enough for my mom to give me that GameCube. So she was like, I'm not getting it for you. But yeah, no, I mean, starting out with like Nintendo, like, you know, obviously Super Mario Bros. Super Mario 3 is up there for me. Super Mario World is probably my favorite from that generation. A lot of like beat 'em up games. Huge Battletoads fan.
Ooh,
Streets of Rage. A little bit of Contra. Contra frustrated me though. I couldn't deal with that bullet hell.
Too much for me.
Yeah. I will say though, like as much as I did play on like Nintendo early stuff, I was super young, and so I felt like it made its impression, but it wasn't really that. It wasn't until my brother got a PlayStation 1 that I felt like I really became a gamer. And I was like, oh damn, like I'm really in this gaming thing. Came home with a PlayStation 1 one day, Final Fantasy 7, Cool Borders, and Silent Hill.
We might be talking a little bit about Silent Hill today.
Yeah. And those games definitely shaped me as like a gamer and what I was interested in. And again, like it's crazy because I think about it now. It's like I'm older. You know, growing up, I've like you feel poor, but like you don't know how poor you are, or like here or there. I really give so much credit to my brother for like being that much older than me and being able to like buy the consoles himself, not having to rely on my mom, because like if it ended up being that, like we wouldn't have all of it. Like I had a PC to play on. I had a lot of time playing like real-time strategy games like Command and Conquer, Civilization, Age of Empires. Play a lot of Sims 1. And my older brother worked at Staples, and so he got every single expansion pack. And that's when like expansions came as separate CDs. We had just had like a stack of Sims games in the house. Sims Pets. You wanted to give them jobs. You wanted to have children. Like each single one had a different CD. So a lot of PC gaming early on. Had every PlayStation. I'm a Sony guy, so like I don't know, man. I feel like I've played almost everything. I miss the PS2 days of like NBA Streets, NFL Blitz. SOCOM is one of my favorite shooters, if not my favorite shooter. Hoping that PlayStation makes another one.
Maybe. Favorite game of all time. Do you have one?
Final Fantasy 7. Favorite game of all time. Yeah.
OG, not the new one.
OG. And depending on what day you ask me, maybe Ocarina of Time.
Really?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're super close, but Final Fantasy 7 definitely shaped me more into like what I'm interested in. Like I really like JRPGs and just turn-based strategy in general. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. With the Steam Deck, which we're going to talk about a little later, you should consider getting the Ocarina of Time 3DS port on your Steam Deck, because it's a really good port of that game. But
yeah, they say that's the best port
yeah,
of the game.
because you said you didn't have a 3DS. That was one of the two you didn't have, right?
No, yeah, I never got a 3DS. Fortunately, so like my brother bought all the consoles at home, and that fortunately enough gave my mom and my dad like the edge to buy me and my younger brother our handhelds. So
Yeah.
I was fortunate to have every Game Boy. I had
That's
a PSP, and then I think it was just where like the Nintendo 3DS fell and like where it came out and like where my interests were. I think I was just too far gone at that point. Like
Sure.
Call of Duty and later SOCOM games, and just like where my fucking RuneScape. Excuse my language, but
No, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, RuneScape took like 2 years of my life.
Oh,
A blur.
Yeah.
I play RuneScape to this day though. So, but yeah.
Do you have a favorite game of this year so far, 2022?
Man, favorite game so far, Elden Ring.
Okay.
Favorite game I beat, because I haven't beaten Elden Ring.
Sure.
Tunic.
Tunic.
Really enjoyed Tunic. Yeah. It just reminded me so much of like old school Zelda, and
100%.
that's my jam. Yeah.
Final question in getting to know Mando before we jump into the show. It's October. We're talking a lot about spooky games on this podcast this month. Do you have a favorite spooky games, or do you like spooky games?
I do not like spooky games.
Okay.
This goes back to Silent Hill. When my brother brought that PlayStation, I literally will never forget the day. And that's how I know it was so impactful. It was gloomy outside, and he decided that the first game of those 3 games he was going to play was Silent Hill. And my 9-year-old ass, I was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna just sit here and watch him play. Like, how am I not gonna watch him play? He's just got this. And that was the worst thing I could have done. Like, he was walking through that hospital, and I think if I remember correctly, because I've never gone back to play it myself or have watched anyone else play it.
Yeah.
But like the dude dies before the game even starts. Like he like walks into like an alley, and then like next to the diner, and he like dies and then like wakes up. It was too much. It was too much for me.
As a 9-year-old.
Yeah, as a 9-year-old, was not ready for that. And so like because of that, I'm not really into spooky games like that.
I get that.
But one definitely made it through the cracks, and that's Dead Space.
Yes.
Dead Space. And it's because it was enough sci-fi and like shooter elements that made me say, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot.
For sure.
And put myself through it to play that game. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And so I'm really looking forward to the remake of Dead Space.
Yeah.
And like Calypso Protocol looks really awesome.
Looks dope.
A spiritual successor to Dead Space, which is funny because it's coming out a month
right
apart from it now.
Yeah.
But I'm not complaining about that.
Hey, me either. We're big Dead Space fans on this podcast, so that'll be an exciting few weeks for Spotlight Games.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Spotlight Games, why don't we do a little housekeeping before we jump into the show, because we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about, because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod, just like Rabbit128 is. Hey, John, how are we doing? So be sure to follow us there so you know, or so you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. It's October, which means we have to get spooky all month long to celebrate. And at the end of the month, we're going to be doing another one of our bracket episodes to decide the spookiest game ever made. So be sure to let us know which games have to be included in the bracket at the end of the month. And if you have any spooky topics you'd like us to discuss this month, be sure to DM us on Instagram at Spotlight Games Pod or on Twitter at Spot Games Pod. Or you can always send us some electronic mail to mail@spotlightgames.net. Handsome Tony in the chat. How we doing, Tony? Tony says, nice Final Fantasy VII poster, Mando.
Oh, that's actually not a poster. That's actually the vinyl for the soundtrack.
Ooh, love that.
Of the recent remake. Yeah.
I see MJ on the left. Who's that on the right?
Yeah. That is Silk Sonic.
Okay.
Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak.
Oh, sure.
I was going to say, you're not a Silk Sonic guy? Oh, man.
Silk Sonic just didn't click but once you said Bruno Mars, I was like, oh, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
That's good.
T. Thomas said even better. Yeah. Oh, chef's kiss. I have a record player over there in the corner. You can't see it. It's off the camera. But
Hell yeah.
yeah, those are my jams.
Well, it is Tuesday, which means we're live, but also means that there's a new episode of Save Trash Cinema, our sister podcast. Usually Cayman gets to give the spiel, but since he's not here, I can tell you guys that we have a new episode of Trash or Pass, the Trash Cinema game show. And I'm actually a contestant on this episode. That's one that Cayman runs himself, but it's me, our friend Jeremiah, and our friend Gray. Give it a listen. I think it's good shit. It's we essentially come and we have to present a fake movie and a real movie, and the other contestants have to decide which one's real, which one's fake. And it's a good time. So go check that out on the Save Trash Cinema feed, because that's a fun time. But
I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. If you're ever interested in coming on Save Trash Cinema, there's always an open door. But we have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. So let's start with the way we always do on the Spotlight Games podcast, which is with what we've been playing. Mando, I saw you were streaming earlier, so I know you've been playing something, but what are you playing?
Yeah, so playing The Last of Us 2 for the first time, which I'm not gonna lie, you're not the first person to be like, really, it's just your first time playing this game. And I'm like, yeah, and I've had it like sitting there for like a year, but no, first time playing it. Wow, like amazing.
What part are you at?
I am at the hospital right now, and I still hate Abby. And people keep telling me, oh, you're gonna come around, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the game ends. Yeah, we'll see. But I'm having a great time with that. And more recently, I've just been playing on my Steam Deck. So I Persona 4 Golden, Final Fantasy 13, and I recently bought the Arkham collection because it was like $8 on Steam. Yeah, why not? And a little Wind Waker because, wow, Steam Deck.
God,
crazy.
We're gonna talk a lot more about Steam Deck later in the show, but what a beautiful piece of hardware that thing. I have had it now for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I can't put it down. I haven't touched my PlayStation since I got the Steam Deck because it's great. But we're gonna talk about it. I've been playing. Speaking of a franchise, you mentioned it in a franchise we're gonna be talking about a little bit in the news. Silent Hill 2. My first time ever playing it, because last week when we started talking about spooky stuff. We're going to be doing the spooky bracket at the end of the month. A big missing piece of my gaming backlog or history, whatever you want to call it, is Silent Hill. I didn't get a PlayStation until like college. So there are a lot of those like older PlayStation franchises that I never played unless like I played it at a friend's house. And Silent Hill just was not one of those. So I'm having a great time with it. It's scary as fuck though.
Yeah.
Like even today, like, yeah, you do know, even today as a 30-year-old, like I'm surprised at how well it plays. Like it definitely, it has some tanky controls, like the older like horror games did, like older Resident Evil, but it's so well designed that it like doesn't matter. Like it doesn't bother me that it kind of feels like shit, because it just kind of makes it like a little scarier, because it's not nearly as combat focused as like Resident Evil is. It's a lot more just like we only want to make you scared.
yeah
And they do a really good job at it. And I just finished my replay of God of War on the Steam Deck, and
that's lovely. That's lovely. Were you going back and forth between playing on PC and on the Steam Deck?
So I don't have a PC.
Okay. Oh yeah, we were having this conversation before. Yes.
So if I did, I might have gone back and forth, but I kind of wanted, that's like my first big thing that I've played on the Steam Deck. So I kind of wanted to see like how it performs, and man, that thing means trouble for my PlayStation, like, for big games. But like as long as it can run well, like I did have some issues with God of War at the beginning. Like I had to kind of mess with the specs a little bit to get it to run well, but it was so nice, like being able to just play God of War 2018 wherever I wanted, and it run well.
That's how I feel about Spider-Man on Steam, and I can't wait for it to. I don't want to pay $50 because I've already bought that Spider-Man twice already. So
same.
Exactly. If I buy it a third time, I want to pay like $30 for it, 20 even. But man, to have that Spider-Man game in the palm of my hands.
The only reason because I totally agree on not wanting to spend that again. When the day I got my Steam Deck, God of War happened to be on sale for like $35. So I was like, I would have loved to pay a little less, but I was like, it's brand new. I'm just gonna splurge a little bit. But yeah, so I'm really loving it. But as I've mentioned a few times, we're going to talk more about that later. Mando, why don't we jump into the news? A very, very big thing happened last week on Thursday. And that's the Super Mario Bros. Movie trailer dropped. So let's talk about it. Huge. Like, this is something that everyone's been talking about. Everyone's been wondering, like, what's the voice going to sound like? What's the voice going to sound like? Why don't we watch the trailer together, sound on, and let's talk about it. Is the sound coming through?
Yeah, sound's coming through. Perfect. Yeah, no, I was watching this and I was like, wow. Okay,
I know.
like, okay.
Like this, the art is so pretty.
It just looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think this is the Illumination Studios.
What else have they done?
They make Minions. They make the Minion movies.
Ah, Minions. Okay, that makes sense.
And that animation is really great.
Yeah.
But to see it here, like, you know what it is? It's like we've seen these characters in so many different ways over the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we've seen Bowser as pixels, just pixels, and to see him this beautiful is kind of crazy.
I know, and like I love Jack Black. I'm a big Jack Black fan.
Oh yeah.
I was a little nervous, like, just with the whole entire cast. But Jack Black was the one I was like, if anyone can be Bowser, I think Jack Black can be Bowser. And I really like him in this trailer.
Yeah, I loved him in this trailer.
Yeah.
I do not.
It's so pretty. And it's like something that I think is giving me a lot of hope is how funny like this trailer is. At least in the Bowser portion.
Yeah, in the Bowser portion, it's really a lot. They gave us from here on, it's kind of like
this is when it starts to be a little sus to use.
It's funny because I actually don't have a problem with how Mario sounds, like right here, like in the early, like him just talking, like I don't know if people expected him to sound Italian.
Sure,
that's not really what I expected.
Sure.
I just didn't know what
This is the line. Let me go back. Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
I was like, are we in Brooklyn?
That one's perfectly fine. Come on, Mario!
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
It's so bad. It sounds like he's doing a Linda Belcher impression from Bob's Burgers. I don't know if you've ever watched Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, I've watched Bob's Burgers.
It sounds just like her. I love this a little bit. The stinger at the end with Luigi and Dry Bones.
Yeah, and it feels it's giving me like Brooklyn Wise Guy.
Yes.
And it's like, what is this? Like,
yes.
First, I guess my point about Maris is we're already on it. I don't need him to sound Italian.
Sure.
I don't need any of that. Like, if you want to come in and he speaks American, and that's it. Like, he just, because there's only but so much you can lean into that stuff. So it's like, all right, cool. Like, English, he's gonna sound English, and that is what it is. When the Japanese dub, I don't doubt he's gonna sound Italian in the Japanese dub. He's just gonna have a Japanese dub. So I'm not too big on that. That's why I thought I was fine until that last line. I was like, oh wow, this is what Mario sounds like. I was like, okay, sure, cool, whatever, this works for me. And then that last line threw it all the way for me because I was like, wait, now I don't know what to expect anymore. Is it gonna be like half regular guy talking and then the other half is like wise guy Italian?
Yeah, like
Mario.
I'm so afraid that at some point he's gonna be like, hey buddy, I'm walking in. Like I swear to God, if Mario says that.
Oh, that was good though. That was a good one.
I'm gonna be so pissed.
Yeah.
But I wonder,
Gabagoo.
Where's the freaking Gabagoo?
Yeah.
I wonder do you think that we might get any sort of like a tie-in game with this movie?
I don't know about a tie-in game that ties directly into the movie, but it would behoove Nintendo to release a Mario game.
Yeah.
Around the same time this movie is coming out.
Yeah, I would think so too.
It would be awesome if it did tie into the movie. I don't think it necessarily has to, because then I think it's harder to make a game under those constraints. Because then it's like, we can't, like, we can do whatever we want within the bounds of what the movie allows us to do.
Sure.
And so, if that is going to make a bad game, I'd rather them not do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather them just make another really good Mario game.
Yeah.
Like Odyssey, like if Odyssey 2
Oh,
came,
come on.
like if we got an Odyssey 2 and some of the worlds pulled from the movie,
sure.
I think that's a perfect way to release a game close to the movie and have them blend with one another in enough like that enough synergy between the two. Synergy, that's the word I'm looking for. But not that the game itself is just a game version of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I think that's just tougher to do. There's not too many of those that like really do it well.
Yeah, and I also wondered, like, because this is going to be the first time outside of the live action movie from the 80s or 90s, whenever that came out, that Mario has had a voice other than Charles Martinet. And so I'm wondering, like, I wonder, like, is there a world in which we get Mario games voiced by, maybe not Chris Pratt. He's probably too expensive, but like, because Charles Martinet, it seems like, doesn't ever really do much more than like Mamma Mia. And so like,
yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna get like a fully voiced Mario game.
Here's the now that you're bringing up Charles, the interesting thing about that too is he's involved in the movie.
Yeah.
And so like I gotta imagine there's gonna be points in the movie where like we hear Mario for what we know Mario as, like the
Could be,
the
for
woohoo
sure.
and all that stuff. Like I imagine that you have to. That's staple
That's
Mario.
a great
That's
point.
gotta make the movie. It's probably gonna be in like action moments and stuff, like him running, or and they give it to us a little bit here and there just to sprinkle it in. And he's the one doing that voiceover.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. That's how I imagine his involvement is gonna be in the movie.
Tony in the chat says he's calling it now. The sequel's gonna have Wario. I am not convinced that we don't get Wario in this movie.
In this movie,
I was listening to a podcast today.
They definitely got to be keeping some stuff tucked. No?
True.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast today. I think it might have been a Kind of Funny podcast. I don't remember exactly who it was, but someone had the idea of, because Charles Martinet also voices Wario. He voices like everybody essentially. Like maybe having him be Wario in the movie, because that Wario that's a voice where like I think there is more to work with that voice than the Mario voice for like actual dialogue.
Wow. Now
so
that
could
you
be
say
cool.
that, I have to go back and watch that original Nintendo Direct where they announced the movie and see how exactly they presented his
like where in the lineup.
Yeah, because if they not where in the lineup, they did him last as kind of like this is who's playing each character, and Charles Martinet is going to also be involved in the project and so my immediate thought was, oh cool, like he's going to be the one to voice the the classic Mario sounds. But that's an interesting prospect with the Wario thing, because it could be they mentioned him and it's like you could assume it's going to be for Mario, but we might throw a little Wario in there. Wow, no, that's awesome actually.
So yeah, we'll see. Who knows? But I'm sure we're going to be getting a lot more of this movie. Because I forget, it probably says it at the very end. I forget I already closed it. Do you happen to know off the top of your head when it's coming out? I think it's next year. But
yeah, it's next year. They didn't give us like a window or anything like that. Just 2023. I think summer 2023 actually is what they have said.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure we will be getting a lot more soon. That's going to be a like ultra marketed movie for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I think this is a big way for Nintendo to get in with the kids.
Oh yeah.
Because not that they're not in with the kids, but my first console was a Nintendo, and so was my second. And I always had a handheld that was Nintendo. And I feel like, though there are a lot of kids with Nintendos now, like Switches and stuff, the brands they like that are tied to the Switch aren't Nintendo brands. Like they're feverish for Fortnite. They're like huge on Call of Duty and Apex and all this other stuff. That I don't know if Nintendo has the same hold on kids as they did when we were kids.
That's a really great
point. So like something like this movie, I think is a huge step in that like direction.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a step in another direction that might be happening, Mando, which is we're talking about Silent Hill again.
Silent Hill.
So I'm pulling from Logan Planet IGN. Apparently, multiple Silent Hill games have seemingly been confirmed. This is what Logan writes. Logan says the Silent Hill movie director Christoph Gans may have confirmed that multiple Silent Hill games are indeed in the works, corroborating rumors that have been circulating for some time now. Gans directed the 2006 Silent Hill film and has previously teased his involvement in a new Silent Hill movie. In a recent French video interview, Gans spoke about the future of the Silent Hill franchise, and thanks to a translation posted on Reset Era, which IGN separately confirmed to be accurate, Gans, I'm probably saying Gans right, it's probably like Gan, but I don't speak French. Gans teased what's to come on the video game front. Quote, I'm working with the Silent Hill team, the original creators at Konami. There are several games in development as we speak. There are several teams on it with a big line of games. They will revive the franchise, he said. I think they were really impressed of the success of the remakes of Resident Evil that are evidently exceptional games, end quote. Gans added that he's not working directly on the games, but he's working with the Silent Hill team, the Silent Hill team who I met when I filmed the first Silent Hill movie, end quote. Of course, one person Gans said he's obviously not working with is Hideo Kojima. When the interviewer pressed for more details, Gans claimed, quote, there are several games, end quote, and that the Bloober team is working on the rumored Silent Hill 2 remake. And according to Gans, there are several teams working on other Silent Hill projects as well. The Silent Hill rumor mill has been churning for a couple years now. We talked about this last week. So it seems like it's funny how these things happen from time to time, where someone that's like not in the space is just like, oh yeah, these things are happening, because they don't realize that like probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But so we know you don't fuck with Silent Hill because of your childhood trauma with the game.
Yeah, man. Oh.
But I pose to you, do you think if a remake comes out, you'll give it another shot, or is it just like, nope, I'm out?
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I guess like, I mean, even like now, as like I've gotten older, like I gave Resident Evil 2 a shot.
Didn't happen.
I got like 2 chapters in, man. And I was like, gosh, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like I when I started hearing these rumors, I was like, wow, you know, this is an opportunity to face my childhood fear.
Yeah.
Head on, one-on-one, mano a mano.
Mando a Mando.
And so Mando a Mando. That's good. That's good. But yeah, so there is the prospect of potentially giving it that shot. But if not, I'm at a point where I can watch other people play horror games.
Sure.
And so I would definitely watch someone play that.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Because that's top tier horror right there.
Yeah.
Even movies, like I've gravitated more towards horror movies than I
Okay.
have in the past and stuff like that. So I'm getting there, you know?
Yeah.
Slowly but surely. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's funny. Because I'm playing Silent Hill 2 for the first time on my Steam Deck right now. And then as this story is coming out, like I know we've like the rumors have happened. Part of me was like, man, I kind of wish that I had waited to play it for the first time remade a la Resident Evil 2. But at the same time, like it is cool playing the original and like dealing with the clankiness of it and like it. So I don't know. I'm kind of 6 in one, half a dozen in the other, but it is definitely because I loved the Resident Evil 2 remake. I definitely Cayman hates horror games. He likes horror movies. He's a huge horror movie fan, but he gets too scared when he's the one in control. And like I also get too scared when I'm the one in control. I think I just like putting myself through pain.
No, you like being in that distress. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, no, I hope that this is true, because I would love to see what a modern day, and like as I've been playing it, I've been thinking like, what would they do differently? Like how would this, because it's like I said in the beginning, like it's very, I'm surprised at how little combat there is. So like, would a remake add more combat?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
And I think, but that's the cool thing about you actually playing the original is you're gonna have something to compare it to, and
that's true.
You'll see how they evolved the franchise.
That's true.
Which is always cool.
That's true. Well, Mando, there is another franchise potentially. We don't know exactly what the franchise is, but we have an inkling that is also evolving, and that is Kojima and Death Stranding. I'm again pulling from IGN. This is an IGN filled show today. This is Kat Bailey at IGN. Let's add some B-roll. How do you feel about some B-roll here?
Yeah, I love me some B-roll.
Love me some B-roll. The baby from Death Stranding. Let's push ahead a little bit. I don't need to see that little baby's ass. Okay, this is Kat Bailey from IGN. Kojima Productions has been dropping a series of clues about the star of Hideo Kojima's next project, which is speculated to be a horror game titled Overdose. The latest hint, a cryptic poster with an outline of a woman's face and the question, quote, "Where am I?" The poster was revealed at PAX Australia early on Friday morning, Australian time. It follows a teasing tweet from Kojima posted early Thursday morning bearing the simple message, quote, "The answer to who at TGS will be in the next where." No fucking clue what that means. Kat goes on to write, Kojima, of course, is well known for his marketing stunts. Metal Gear Solid fans will recall the saga surrounding Metal Gear Solid 5, which was originally billed as an original action game developed by a Swedish company known as Moby Dick Studio called The Phantom Pain. And then there was also PT, which has remained lodged in the collective memory to this day. These teases aren't nearly as dramatic as Kojima's previous reveals, but they certainly show that he's still up to his old tricks. Went on to post an update. Fans have uncovered a website confirming that Elle Fanning will indeed be in Kojima's next game. Elle was the woman that was outlined in the previously aforementioned photo. It was uncovered via a QR code of the event, which led to a website linked to Kojima Productions. The untitled project is listed simply as a, quote, Hideo Kojima game. In discovering the QR code, it was noted that it's proxied by a tiny URL that suggests it might point to a new URL in the future. What do we think? Do we think this is a Death Stranding? Do we think this is because I know we've talked about how Kojima is doing this game with Xbox that we don't know anything else about. Do you have any kind of inkling or thought, Mando, on what this might be that we're seeing here?
I forget where I heard this, but this Elle Fanning is like related to somebody who is involved in a Death Stranding in like the first Death Stranding.
Okay.
And so when the first Who Am I poster came out, before it was like clearly defined who it was, a lot of people were speculating that, like they were going down that speculative road.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it's Death Stranding, mostly because I think that Xbox Kojima game is probably still a ways out.
Yeah,
I'm just looking at that from like when they announced it and how much we've even seen, and where the state of like cloud is, and not even just in general, but like Microsoft. I feel like they could still be in a better position to have it in more people's hands, so that when they drop this Kojima bomb, it's like, oh shit, gotta go play this game on the cloud, because so on and so forth. But yeah, leading towards Death Stranding, and also because seemingly a Death Stranding 2 is like right in the cards, you know.
Sure.
So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I'm also leaning Death Stranding. I would love for it to be something new. I didn't love Death Stranding. I didn't hate it by any means, but I really loved the Metal Gear franchise, even though it's weird as fuck. Death Stranding was like a little too weird for me. Like I had trouble comprehending like what was happening at any given moment, and sometimes I totally like that, like absurdism. Like I kind of don't know what's happening, but usually I want there to at least be like a little bit that I can be following. And I struggled with Death Stranding. I was like, what is happening in this game? And like the gameplay, I didn't love it. A lot of people at the time said it was like a USPS simulator, and like they kind of weren't wrong. Like it very much was like a very like calming but also stressful experience of just like carrying these boxes across this like dead United States. And like I don't know, I would love to see, if it is Death Stranding, I would love to see it evolve and become something more than it was, because it almost felt like the original was like a proof of concept in a way. Not a lot of combat, which, I mean, Metal Gear, I guess, also didn't have a ton of combat, but it had a fair amount. I mean, it's a stealth action.
It had enough. Yeah.
And like with Death Stranding, there was some combat, but it definitely, the way it was built, you were kind of meant to try to stealth through those sections. And like, if you were in combat, it was very difficult to win, at least in my experience. Maybe I was just bad at it. Have you
played Death Stranding again since the director's cut? Because I know that people commented and saying that like, oh wow, the traversal is far easier because like he has like this like robot he can like sit on now. And, interesting. You can traverse faster and easier. Yeah,
I missed that.
I saw somebody like just walk off a cliff, and I guess you just couldn't do that before because I'd imagine you drop all your packages, and now that's something like you could do, which like will cut down travel time and stuff like that. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
When I sit down and play Death Stranding, I'm definitely going to play the director's cut. Not just for that reason, but obviously they've added stuff, so why not play it that way?
For sure. And like I'm a sucker for pomp and circumstance. Like I love that he's already, even if this game is like 4 years away, I love that he's already like laying the groundwork for his weird ass like teasing of this game.
I love that like he's still doing it, and like he doesn't, like, that's just who he is. He's like, no, this is how we're gonna talk about the game coming out in this weird fashion and have people guessing and so on and so forth.
I was looking. So there's this other bit. So he tweeted the other day on the 8th, so 3 days ago, as of recording. It's like TGS with an arrow, who, which was L Fanning.
Yeah.
Under that is PAX Australia was the where, or is the where, but they haven't revealed what that is yet. And then below that is like question mark, like a bunch of question marks.
Is
so
PAX Australia right now?
I think it actually starts today, or started today, or I guess like 14 hours ago, since they're far ahead of us. But it seems like timeline wise, we're in October. I would assume then whatever the next reveal is at the Game Awards. I think that makes sense with his relationship.
Jeff Keighley, his boy,
his boy,
best friend, his bestie. Good gosh.
But when I was on his Twitter earlier, I noticed his bio. It just says game creator. 70% of my body is made of movies. I just love how fucking weird this man is, and I love that he is unapologetically himself.
Yeah, for sure.
We need more of that in games.
Yeah, we do actually. We do, and it's a lot of copy and paste these days. So I'll take the weird when we can get it.
100%. Something else we need more of in games is Persona, and we're getting more of that this year. The release, or not this year, sorry, next year. We are getting more of it this year in Persona 5 Royal, but they just announced earlier this week that Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable are officially coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Switch on January 19th, 2023. Alice announced the news on Twitter saying that those games are coming, which is exactly what I said. The image features logos for Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and the Windows Store on PC. But they did previously say that it's coming to PS4 and Switch. So definitely going to be coming there as well. And then in 10 days from now, as of recording, Persona 5 Royal coming to PS5, Xbox, PC, all those things as well. So that's exciting. Mando, you said earlier that you're playing Persona 4 Golden on Steam. This is your first time playing?
Yeah, this is my first time playing any Persona, except for like maybe the 2-3 hours I put into Persona 5 before I found out that Royal was coming to Game Pass and everything. So I was like, oh no, I'm not putting in any more time, because it's like a 100-hour game. So I'm like, if I'm gonna play this game, I'm gonna play the Royal version or the Golden version. So but I've put in about 4 or 5 hours into Persona 4 Golden on the Steam Deck, and I'm enjoying that very much.
Nice.
It's a darker tone than Persona 5 is, and I'm liking that a little bit. And I don't know, I've heard so much about this like series, and I'm a big JRPG guy. And so I'm surprised that I ever even missed these games, to be quite honest with you.
Did you have a Vita?
I did not have a Vita.
Okay.
And so like, I guess that's how I missed 4. Persona 4 Golden was a PS Vita game, but like by the time Persona 5 hit my radar, it had been out for like 3-4 years, and I was like, how did this just I don't know, just fly under my radar like that?
I mean, there's a lot of games out there,
and even Persona 3 for when it came out in like the PS2. But then I think about the PS2, and like, if you made a list of good games on the PS2, man, is that list?
It's a long list.
It's a long list, and like the only way that you had all those games was if you had the money for it. So I could see how I'd miss out on the Persona 3. But
and like, I feel like when you look at like the top PS2 games, Persona 3 is like never on that list, even though it might be on like people's personal lists, but it's not like an iconic PS2 game.
Too many, man. Like again, the EA bigs, and I was talking about this the basketball and football, but like even SSX Tricky,
and NHL Hits, like
it was too much.
It was simply too much. Because actually, I think Persona 4 I think that originally came out on PS2 as well, and I think Persona 3 was maybe a PSP. I don't remember. I didn't have those consoles at the time. But yeah, I'm excited because I played 4, love 4, like top 5 game for me. And I played 5, and I liked 5 not nearly as much as 4, but I think my issue with 5, I might have said this on the show before, because I played 4 portably, I really wanted to play 5 portably. Like the biggest hang up for me that I had was the experience of 120 hours on a Vita, and then now I'm stuck on my couch doing that. Not that, I mean, I'll play.
Yeah.
I love a JRPG too. Like I've played a lot of games that are Witcher 3, like hundreds of hours. Like I don't have a problem putting hours into games, but for some reason in my brain, I was like, I could be doing this anywhere
On the go.
and right, because I'm on the go all the time these days.
Yeah.
And so but like in bed and like while I'm watching stuff, that kind of thing.
That too. Yeah.
So I'm excited for 5 to hit Steam Deck, because that's a game I never played Royal. I only played 5 when it first came out. So I'm excited to play that on Steam Deck. The perfect console.
That's another thing. Like I'm just so surprised that like this series is like now hitting me, because it's like, like I know people who put in the original 100 hours on like regular P5 and then like, oh, Persona 5 Royale. Oh, I'm putting in another 100. Let's hit that. Let's get that too.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, the game is that good? So I'm very much looking forward to that.
Yeah,
and I'm very much looking forward to playing Persona 5 Royal on like portably, because I'm gonna play that on Game Pass, and I'm gonna play that on my Steam Deck.
Yes, you are. Have you got the Game Pass on Steam Deck?
Yeah. It's not. I'm not gonna lie. My backbone messed up on me like 2 weeks before I got the email for the Steam Deck.
Okay.
And then once I got the Steam Deck email, I was like, oh, well, no longer need a backbone. I was like, this kind of solves all my problems. And I don't think I'm comfortable with how much latency the Steam Deck has with Game Pass. It's like a little extra latency than just the normal latency.
I've not done much on the let's just jump right in. I've not played
Steam Deck impression.
I mean, come on, we're talking about it right now. We're done with Persona. I've not done much of the Game Pass workaround, but the only thing that I played a little bit of Ni no Kuni. Have you ever played that game, by the way?
No.
Great JRPG.
Yeah.
It's like Pokemon meets like a Studio Ghibli movie, if you like those movies.
Okay.
It's really dope. But and I didn't have any issues there, but I played like 20 minutes. So I'm not surprised with how much of a workaround it is to get it to even work, that it doesn't work super well, which that's
100%. Like I'm not surprised. It's like, oh, cool, I got it. But like I could see myself doing like a Persona 5 Royal on it, since it's turn-based, and it's not so reliant on you needing to be exact. But I think that the lag has taken away like 90% of the library from me. Like, I'm probably not going to use this for Game Pass. So now I'm looking back to getting the backbone again.
Yeah, I hope that they eventually like release like an official.
An official. Yeah,
I bet they will. It might just take time, but
I mean, I think the fact that Microsoft has even gone out of their way to make an official page telling you how to get Game Pass working on the Steam Deck shows like we like this device and we're working towards it. Like we're trying to get there, because I gotta imagine that they know the Steam Deck is a great device to have.
Yeah, and it's selling like
xCloud on. Crazy. That's
so
another thing worth mentioning. Like 1 million units. What the hell?
And it's finally to the point now, because so both of us, when we bought it, we had to wait X number of months. But they just announced, I think it was last week, they're like, if you want it now, you can get it now. Like
that's it.
They've reached a point where no more waiting, which is really exciting. But Mando, I've talked a little bit about Steam Deck on the show prior. I want to hear your thoughts, your impressions. How long have you had it? Like, walk me through kind of your thought process. What do you liking? What do you not liking? We've touched a little bit, but let's dive a little deeper.
I got my Steam Deck exactly 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
2 weeks ago. So Sunday I got it 2 weeks ago. So it's been 2 weeks and a few days. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Patrick. Like I was about to tweet this the other day, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold this. I was like, I'm gonna give it a month and then I'll tweet this. But I'll say it now. This might be the greatest handheld ever made.
Dog.
And I feel like that is such a crazy statement to make, because like, yeah, sure, like I have a Nintendo Switch. And I'm not gonna lie, I said the same thing when I got a Nintendo Switch, because when I got the Switch, I had no consoles at that time.
Okay.
Went through a rough patch of life, and I got rid of all my electronics and music equipment, and my consoles went with it. And so when I was getting back into gaming, I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool. So like, do I get a PlayStation or an Xbox? And this was like 2018. So then I was like, oh, wow, Nintendo Switch. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, this thing looks awesome. and it plays these kind of games. And I remember like putting Skyrim in it, and I was like, fuck, I have Skyrim in the palm of my hands. I was playing Breath of the Wild because those are the first two games I got, Breath of the Wild and Skyrim. And I remember playing Breath of the Wild, and I was like, yo, I have this in the palm of my hands.
Yeah.
This is insanity. This is awesome. This is like I couldn't believe it. And I thought the Switch was the most amazing thing in the world. Barring all its like I think like drawbacks. Like I couldn't believe that I bought something in 2018 and it did not have working Bluetooth. That kind of like that, I'm not gonna lie. I still think about that to this day because it's like what? Like
Yeah.
like I because I think that was maybe like a year or two after I had fully given up wired headphones. And I was like,
Oh, sure.
wait, what? Like
I can't even.
way.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I left that life behind. I'm not trying to have wired headphones anymore. So like outside of its drawbacks, I thought it was amazing. But I said that same exact thing about my Steam Deck the other day when I loaded up Elden Ring. And I was like, yo, am I really playing Elden Ring right now in my bed? In the palm of my hands?
Did it run well?
This is insanity. Yes. And I didn't even tweak it that much.
Really?
And it was, I didn't tweak it at all. And it was running well. And then like there were some dips here and there, tweaked it a little bit. Solid 60 across the board.
So I talked about this. It was either last week or the week before. I forget when. With God of War, I was having really bad heat issues. Like it was getting really hot to the touch. Have you had that issue at all with Elden Ring?
No, not hot to the touch. And I guess Steam has been updating the Steam Deck so frequently that I feel like a lot of the videos I'm watching on YouTube about it and people's feedback toward it has either been resolved or isn't as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the fan, a lot of the videos I've watched, a lot of people have complained about the fan. And the fan like revs up like when you start a game and then like in certain moments of the game, but then like it's like maybe like a 15 second rev up, and then that's it. And then like that huge rev up is done, and like you're back to like just regular gameplay. And I can't say the fan is louder than my game. If it's not louder than my game, then there's that. And then also it has Bluetooth, so I can use my Bluetooth headphones, and that's kind of what I've been doing recently. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I'm 2 weeks in. I've played a few games on it. The Steam store in and of itself is a huge like value proposition.
Yeah.
I'm playing Final Fantasy 13 on it, and it's one of the few games that like I put a lot of hours into, but I never beat because I got stuck in a certain point of the game, and that was it. I just had to drop the game, and I never went back to it. But I want to beat it because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. So cool. So we're playing it again. Steam and Xbox are the only places I can play that game. So now Xbox has it on Game Pass. It's only Game Pass on console. Why? Because it's a 360 game and it plays the game through the 360 emulator in the Xbox.
Interesting.
Which means you can't remote play that game on like your phone from your Xbox, which is what I would prefer to do so that I can just like play this game in my bed or like just on the couch or whatever. And so the Steam Deck is literally the only way you can play Final Fantasy 13 portably today. Because it's not available on the PlayStation Store, not available on the Xbox Store, just straight native. You have to play through that emulator. It's not available on the Switch Store. And and so like that, I feel like that's one of the pluses of like the Steam Deck. And like I know, and here's a big thing. I'm a physical game guy. I like my physical games. And so with the Steam Deck, I've been thinking, oh damn, all the games are digital. But I also never have to worry about a game. I don't want to say never. Steam Deck has no control over licensing. So as it relates to like licensing, making a game come off of a store, that's a separate issue.
Sure.
But the Steam game I buy today is going to work on my PC that I buy next year, the year after that, and the year after that. It works on my Steam Deck now, and it's going to work on my next Steam Deck, probably going to work on my next Steam Deck after that. And so like there's this value in like the game I buy, knowing that the next product I buy,
that's a really good point.
This game. And this is why I feel like I'm like the success of the Steam Deck is so big because they've sold 1 million units without any real marketing, without going to the streets and or even having their product in a store where like a store associate can tell somebody who's thinking about a Switch or a Steam Deck. They're like, I mean, look, you can get a Nintendo Switch, but like, you know, the next Switch, who knows if those games will actually play on the next Switch, yada, yada. And like, when you hear that kind of stuff, it makes you go, oh shit, like that's something to think about. And so it makes the $60 you spend worth more, and I don't know, it's man, that version 2 Steam Deck, if they can get that thing into fucking Target, Best Buy, Amazon, and put some real marketing money behind that,
Yeah.
wow.
I wonder if they're going to do that for this one though, because I mean, because right now you only buy it through Valve.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I don't want them to, because it's not perfect,
Sure.
and there are things that they can improve on it. And I'm wondering if they can go back to the drawing board, and now with this like proof that they have a product that people are interested in, that people like. Because I would go out on a limb and say that most people who have one are enjoying it.
Yeah,
like they're enjoying their Steam Deck. And the few complaints are like almost warranted. Like, cool, the battery life isn't great, but I actually think the battery life is better than a lot of people are giving it credit for, because it's like I'm still getting like 4 or 5 hours of gameplay.
I think it depends on the game.
Yeah, on the game. Like Elden Ring, I'm getting an hour and a half.
Right.
Sure, cool. And like I can see how that's not an optimal experience, especially like if you're trying to take it on the go with you. But then what I like about it, why I can't hold it back too much is because like I'm not getting that hour and a half anywhere else.
True.
It is like the only place I can play Elden Ring for an hour and a half portably.
Yeah, right. And like I also think there's something to be said. Like you kind of mentioned it with the Steam store. It's also like the Steam store, when you compare it to PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Switch Store, the deals on Steam are like comparatively kind of insane. Like I think it's a kind of a genius like economic tactic where they're like, hey, this game you can get for $7. Why don't you buy it? Where like, and so me being an idiot, I'm like, you know what? Why don't I buy it? Because there's going to be a time where I already own The Witcher 3 on my PlayStation, and like I could just go buy it there, but I can get it for $7 on my Steam Deck. And what if I want to play it down the line on my Steam Deck? And like I find myself, I've bought like 5 or 6 games that are like less than $10 that I already own. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not even a game I want to actively play right now. I just see the deal and I'm like, that's a deal. I need to buy it. And like, I don't know if I'm in the minority there, but like you're not.
I'm waiting for a Witcher sale right now. So I can buy it on Steam.
And so I think this thing is going to have legs. This thing's going to have really long legs. And that, not that the Switch doesn't have legs by any means, but this is also an actual computer. Like something that I've talked about that I really like is being able to put it in desktop mode, and like I can hook a keyboard up to it. And like if I wanted to play like Inscription, which is a game like you kind of need to type for and things like that, I can just put it in desktop mode and just like prop it up and play.
Load up the game from desktop mode.
Yeah, and like that it has such a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a maneuverability that I've never had with a console because I've never been a PC gamer. So like I know this is something that I think a lot of PC people have like been able to enjoy in the past, is like being able to like fuck with shit. And that's just
blown my mind.
And it's incredible. Like, and like to your point about battery life, playing Silent Hill 2, I can play like 9 hours of Silent Hill 2 on the Steam Deck because it's a PS2 game. Like it's barely pulling any power. And even if there's like an N64 game on Switch, that thing I'm still not getting like an incredible amount of time on it. Like it's still good. It's not like it's bad by any means, but yeah, the pros are like, I had those few cons about like the heat, and I did have a lot of like crashing issues with God of War, but it's also God of War. Like it's one of the most like technically intense games I've ever played. And that's like really the only game I've had issues with. So I don't think
it's not a deck verified game either, is it?
I think it is. It
is. Okay.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's just like if it has the green check, right? That means
if it has the green check.
Yeah,
it
has
a green check. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
And maybe so I have the base model. I have the 64 gig, 32. Yeah, 64. And maybe that's a difference. Maybe the SSD is like stronger in the old. I'm not 100%.
I will say like, because I have games loaded on my SD card and games loaded on the internal, and I can't say that there's much of a loading difference between the two. So my coming out of it, because I have the 512 version.
Okay.
My thought is, if somebody asks me, you just get the $400 version.
Yeah.
And buy a 1 terabyte SD card.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I did.
And
I
you've
think
got
I got a
and you've got a
500 gig.
monster. You've got a monster. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got a 556. I went to my camera. I was like, wait. I was like, let me see. I gotta. I was like, because I was looking for it. I was like, no. I found a 64, and I was like, nope, this is
Nope.
not it. I know I have a 256 somewhere. Went, wiped it, and now I'm using that.
Yeah. Tony in the chat, the emulation is the killer in his opinion. And like that, honestly, that for me, if I've not played 100 hours of this thing, but if I've played 100 hours of this thing, it's been like 85 hours of it, like 60-40 actually, because I did play a lot of God of War, but it's mostly like my emulation machine at this point. And
and I was also just so surprised at how easy it was to get that to like running. And I didn't connect it to my computer at all. I didn't connect I don't have a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard lying around. So I did it all on screen.
Really?
And
you like typed in everything?
Yeah. And so the fact that I was able to do all of that and get my emulator working and everything without a keyboard, without a mouse, and without connecting it to my main computer.
That's impressive.
Is absolutely insane to me. Like that's just mind blowing. And it took me maybe a few hours.
Have you emulated any PS2 games on it yet?
Yes. Zone of Enders, God of War.
Okay.
And I just started up Metal Gear Solid because I wanted to see if it worked. But I'm saving those for when I actually get.
So I've done GameCube, Wii U for Wind Waker, and now PS2. And PS2 was.
Oh, you're playing Wii U Wind Waker.
I am. Yeah.
GameCube Wind Waker.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I still own the GameCube Wind Waker actually, and I've just always wanted to play the Wii U version for that new art style. So that's the main reason I'm doing that one. But I weirdly had a ton of trouble with the PS2 emulators or like the ROMs. Every time it was like, I don't even remember what the error was, but it was like, it's not working. And I was like, I don't understand why it's not working. I finally got it to work, but that was the only one. I didn't have any issues with GameCube or with Wind Waker, but so I'm glad that you didn't have any issues.
PlayStation's a little weird because of the BIOS files.
Yeah, which that was the issue, is the BIOS files. And that as someone who's never really emulated before, I was like, what the fuck is a BIOS file? I'm like trying to figure it out online. Like, what am I doing wrong? But
yeah, and I think that's like, part of the hurdle for them in like marketing it is like, how do you get a regular consumer to care about that and want to maybe even like venture into that?
Yeah.
Because I really do think like, I think everybody would agree, like Nintendo has basically had a monopoly in the handheld market
100%.
for 20, 30 years. Like it didn't matter who came in. PSP came in, that was great, but it came and it went. PS Vita came and it went.
Yeah.
And I will say that the one thing that all of those were lacking wasn't hardware. I think arguably the PSP was better than the Game Boy that was out at the time, which I think was the SP, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
Was out at the same time. Yeah. And the PS Vita is the Switch is like a PS Vita. So like the PS Vita was ahead of its time in hardware.
Yeah.
But they lacked games.
100%.
They lacked the library. They lacked the library that like you could just go back to it, always have something there. And Steam has that.
Yeah.
Steam has that.
Literally everything.
Everything. They got everything. And that's the thing. Like Final Fantasy 13, that game came out in 2008. It's still on the Steam store. And there are no games from 2008 on Nintendo Switch's store.
Yeah.
If re-releases, yeah, sure. But not like original games. And like I think that's where like the Steam Deck's real strength lies.
I think
and
so.
They can, and I know how they like to talk about the deck verified amount of games because those are deck verified. But the ones that are playable are extremely playable. Like Final Fantasy 13 is rated playable because the first time you launch it, it opens a launcher that you can press a button so that it doesn't open it ever again.
Interesting.
So that technically isn't even that big a deal. And then the other reason it's playable is because when you go into the game, it quote unquote sometimes gives you it shows you keys for a keyboard as if you were playing on a keyboard. But you can go into the settings and switch it so that it shows you remotes. So if you do those two things, the game is basically deck verified. And so it makes me wonder, like, all right, cool. If the number of deck verified games is like, I think the last time I saw it was 5,000, and that's already larger than Nintendo Store. If you add playable to that, what does that look like?
Sure.
And then the unverified games that they just don't know, but then, wow, they actually do just work perfectly fine. I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. And then they got PlayStation games on there. They got Xbox games. I know they don't got Nintendo games. That's fine. They don't need Nintendo games, I think. Not to compete. To compete. And I also don't think Nintendo's going anywhere just because of the Steam Deck.
Same. I don't think Nintendo will ever go anywhere. I'll be 80 years old.
It's too strong. Yeah.
It's something. It would have to be like decades of mistakes for that.
And negligence and that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I think the Steam Deck is gonna help that not happen because maybe the Steam Deck come in and Nintendo's like, damn. I'm finally gonna have to make a better Switch.
I was about to say I hope that the Steam Deck gets people at Nintendo to be like, okay, maybe because I am starting to finally notice it's been. What year did that come out? 20.
It's been almost 6 years.
Okay,
it'll be 6 years in April.
Word, thank you. I am like
it's a long time.
It's a long time, and like I'm at a point now where if there's a game that I can get on Switch or on Steam Deck, I'm getting on Steam Deck, without a doubt. And so I'll get the Marios, I'll get the I almost said Luigi's. I will get the Luigi's, I'll get the Links, like I'll get the Zeldas. But anything else, if I can get it on Steam Deck, I'm gonna get it on Steam Deck. And the reason for that is because I'm starting to notice performance, just not being comparable to the rest of gaming right now on a Switch.
Yeah,
and so hopefully, this just beautiful thing,
crazy man,
will get Switch to release something a little bit more powerful. Because I think it's time to start having those conversations about what's next for the Switch. Because I think it's
I'm still holding out hope that we get like a Nintendo Switch Pro with alongside Zelda.
That'd be dope.
Because Zelda is their transitionary game.
That is true.
There's a game that Nintendo loves releasing on the old console and on the new console. It's fucking Zelda.
It's happened
too many times.
Definitely 2 times, but maybe even I don't remember when because Ocarina came out also on GameCube.
Yeah.
I don't remember
at what point it wasn't like at launch.
Okay.
But like if we're thinking like launch ones, I think Wind Waker is like one of them.
So it definitely
Twilight Princess. I know Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild.
Two
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't. They just like doing that. It's kind of no, Wind Waker didn't because they did the HD for Wii U. You're right. It's Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild.
But I love the Steam Deck, and if you're out there considering getting a Steam Deck, I think I can speak for Mando when I say we both say get a Steam Deck.
Yeah, and also it's made me want to play my Switch again, actually, too, because it's just got me like in the handheld mood. I really like handheld gaming, like you said, like it's kind of making me look at my PlayStation, like, oh god, And it's not that I think it's better than the PlayStation, I just enjoy gaming that way, a little bit more, and so like I think for most of my third parties, I might go Steam Deck. Like, it sounds so insane. And also because I have my PC, so I could, if I do want to play it at high fidelity, I can. But I'm more than likely want to play it in the comfort of my bed. My couch.
Come on, why not?
Also, on the go. These damn commutes.
So, have you played? Last question on this, and then let's get into the spooky topic.
Mm-hmm.
Have you picked up your Switch since you've been playing Steam Deck at all?
Yeah, and it was to play. It was to play a little bit of Octopath Traveler.
Word. I haven't actually played anything yet. I want to play this new Super Mario Bros. Like unofficial release, like Super Mario Bros. 5 and Super Mario Maker 2. But I just picked it up because I realized it hadn't been charging. I was like, oh, this thing's been dead for
Wait, somebody
weeks.
Made like an unofficial version?
Oh yeah, have you not heard about this?
No. What?
So it's like a full fake Mario game in Super Mario Maker 2, but like the reviews online are you a Kind of Funny guy? Do you listen to Kind of Funny?
Yeah.
Tim over there, big Mario guy.
Yeah.
He's like it feels like Nintendo made this game. And like he hit like it's one of those things where like I would trust his opinion on Mario because of how much he's a fan of that franchise. Yeah, so if he says that this feels like a Nintendo Mario game, I'm like, okay, I'll play. Yeah. And so I picked that up to put it in the charger, and I was like, oh my god, this thing feels like a toy compared to Steam Deck. It's just so I've never thought that once in my 6 years you said of having a Switch, but because this thing is just, I mean, it's fucking huge. It's bigger than my head.
No, it's huge. Yeah,
and
it is.
So grabbing the Switch after having held this for 2 weeks, it's like I feel like I'm gonna break this thing, but So I was curious if you had actually played anything on it, if you had that same experience too. Let's close out the show, Mando, with our seasonal topic, Spooklight Games. We're talking about the top 10 scariest enemies and bosses in video games. I'm pulling a list from Inverse. Last week we did the scariest moments and levels in games. So today we're doing the scariest enemies and bosses in games. So let me pull this up. We also have some submissions from the audience we're going to go through. But before I jump in, so you've said multiple times on this show, you're not huge.
Yeah.
But
I know a lot of the general ones, you know.
Is there any like that you would expect to see on this list or that you would hope to see on this list? I mean, I know Dead Space is your game, so like there are definitely some things from Dead Space, but is there anything that you expect to see here?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, those deformed beings from Dead Space.
Yeah.
That's the other thing that got me about Dead Space. I thought that like art approach to the enemies was just awesome. And that the limb mechanics and stuff, they really Dead Space is awesome.
Oh, so
Get Dead Space in January, y'all. Mr. X and like Nemesis from Resident Evil. I just feel like those are just like a constant anxiety pump.
One or both of those have to be on this.
Yeah, list. One or both of those have to be on here. I know you're playing Silent Hill 2, and I know that's the game that the Pyramid Head appears in, and I know that
I would expect Pyramid Head.
He's a big ghoul. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, I've been unorthodox with the horror games. That little girl from the Fear games. I don't know if you ever played or saw those Fear games. She's up there. She's up there for me.
She's got to
be. That's another game I tried. I was like, shooting horror. I'm in there. And no, still too horror. Still too much horror. That one was actually pretty damn scary.
Yeah. That. For sure. Because that like 360 area, because we were starting to get into like photorealism, and so that like the scary games in that era were particularly scary because we had never seen anything like that before in a game.
And I guess like another game that I maybe pull some ghouls from is like Devil May Cry that I played a lot.
Oh,
it's
sure.
Like it's just like, you know, like dark
leaning,
demon leaning and stuff. Yeah. You know what? Just because I'm playing it now, and it was giving me a little bit of anxiety earlier, The Last of Us 2 was a little creepy, man. Oh my god! I'm in those damp areas, underground. When Ellie falls down somewhere, I know
you're in trouble.
20 minutes is gonna be some.
Yeah, they have that new type of. I'm assuming with where you said you were, I'm sure you would have seen these by now. They're kind of like bloaters, but they're a little smaller. I think they're called like spitters or something. I forget what they're called.
Yes. It starts with an S though. Yeah, fuck those things.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So definitely, I would expect to see something from The Last of Us on here, whether it's a clicker, whether it's something from the game that you've actually not seen yet, which actually. There might be a spoiler in this potentially. So if we come across,
I'm cool on spoilers.
Okay.
I was spoiled on this game before I had even.
Okay. Because it's very possible that there will be something from the game that you wouldn't have.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, let's go through this list and then we'll pull in the audience and if you're still in the chat, if you have any things that you would think would be on this list, feel free to drop them in and we'll read those out too. So let's start us off. Number 10, Lady D from Resident Evil Village. I assume this is a game you did not play.
No, I did not play this.
Yeah.
I mean, all the hype around it almost got me to pull the trigger. Because I did hear that it's not as scary as other ones. And it's more puzzle leaning and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that I think there's maybe some recency bias with putting her on this list. Which, hey, most of my life is recency bias, but I didn't find her I think there are like 2 or 3 other villains in this game that are more terrifying than her to me. Like there's this one Kayla from JK Games podcast, Donna Beneviento, I assume is how you would say it. She's just like this doll, this fucking creepy voodoo type doll. Fucking so terrifying. I would put her on this list before Lady D, but I respect it. Next, Emmy from Metroid Dread. Their reasoning, there are plenty of tough bosses in Metroid Dread, but nothing is quite as terrifying as the Emmys. The only winning strategy is to run for your life until you can absorb energy to power your Omega Cannon. Did you play Metroid Dread?
No, I actually have it. got it for like $30, and I was like, let me just get this and I'll play it whenever I get to it. But I haven't gotten to it. But I feel people on this though, because it's that this is like that Mr. X Nemesis.
It's the chasing.
It's like always watching. Oh, you got to watch your shoulder, and then once that moment happens, it's the anxiety and
there, I feel like I would also expect there to be some sort of Souls or Bloodborne enemies on this, because like when there's that fear of, because the game is hard, like when there's that fear of like, oh, this thing can kill me just because the game is hard, like that adds its own level to it. So I wouldn't surprised that this is on the list, but I get it for sure.
A lot of people said they were the kind of like the highlight of the Metroid Dread too.
Yeah, for sure. That I didn't love the game. A lot of people really liked the game, but I did like that part of the game, that it was that, like you said, the Mr. X type vibe. Number 8, Big Daddies from BioShock. This is a great pull.
This is a great pick. Yeah,
I would even put this higher than 8 probably, but because that first time that you come across a Big Daddy, again, goes back to that Xbox 360 area where like, okay, we're in photorealism now. Like, what a fucking moment.
Yeah. Oh, well, you mean when you're like on the other side of the glass?
Yeah.
You're just watching that Big Daddy go to work, and you're like, hope I never run into that dude.
And like, you're gonna run into that dude.
You know, you're gonna run into that dude. Yeah.
And this, I think something that let me go back. Something that I think is key with horror games is tension. And I mean, just horror in general, like movies, whatever. And Big Daddies are really good with the tension, because a lot of the time you come into these areas and they're somewhere in the room with you, but like, can I avoid them? Can I get what I need to do without? And like, there's that tension of like, I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Number 7, Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. This is, you nailed this one. Resident Evil has a few stalker enemies in its history that relentlessly pursue players through levels. They're all scary and challenging, but Nemesis's design is the best at telling you it's time to get the hell away ASAP. It definitely, something that I do prefer Nemesis to Mr. X, even though I like Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 3, just because he looks creepier.
Yeah.
Like Mr. X is just a dude in a fedora.
It's just in a long jacket, you know. Yeah. No, Nemesis is more grueling. And no, I couldn't be me. Couldn't be me.
No,
I did the Mr. X for a little bit, and I was like, nah, this is too much.
Yeah. This is one. So number 6, Genova from Final Fantasy VII. So one of your favorite games. Genova is a terrifying sight in Final Fantasy VII, and the mystery around its origins only makes it creepier. With the ability to manipulate people's minds and create a sense of near religious awe, Genova might be the scariest thing in all of Final Fantasy. Agree or disagree, Mando?
You know, I don't agree. I agree and I don't. And I'm 50-50 on this one, because I was actually, when I thought about this before we got on, I was actually thinking of Sephiroth being one of the scariest characters.
Same.
Not so much he himself, but I remember that first chunk of the game when you're in Midgar, before you leave Midgar, and you don't know who Sephiroth is, and he's just out here killing random people.
Yeah.
And like, you leave the room and there's blood everywhere, and that, I remember that moment in the game. That moment the game was tense, because it was like, oh damn, I feel like I'm just gonna walk into something and like shit's gonna go left. And so for that portion of the game, so like, I kind of get it, because that's when you see Genova for the first time. Like, all right, but nah, I probably give it to Sephiroth more than Genova's character. So yeah.
So I've never played the original all the way through. I played some of it as a kid, like at my friend's house, but I just recently, a couple months ago, played the remake, and I don't think Genova's in the remake, because I don't know this character.
No, because we already went through the thing. No, the story changed, and I think they've gone about it. I don't think Genova is in the game.
Yeah,
no.
Maybe Genova will be in like future games, but I don't remember there being a Genova. But
for purposes of the story, very, very likely, because I don't want to ruin it, but
no, because
very likely. I feel like she has to be in the game. There's no way.
The major spoiler, I do know that. There's no way I could have avoided that.
That's one of the memes of eternity.
But I don't know like anything else. Like, I just know that happens, but I don't know the context. So I'm excited to go through those and play them. But number 5, The Witch from Left 4 Dead 2. In a game where you mow down zombies by the dozens, it takes a lot to scare players. That's where the witch comes in. Her chilling sobs hit your ears first, and once she sees you, she will tear you to shreds in seconds. Did you play Left 4 Dead 2?
I did, but I don't remember the witch.
Man, I remember the witch vividly, because like The witch, the whole thing with the witch was, I mean, there's a whole bunch of zombies. There's like the fat things that like explode on you or whatever. But with the witch, because she would scream, if she screamed, then like everyone would come. So it was always like trying to see like her red eyes or whatever to see like, okay, we got to kill the witch before we alert her or else this is going to be hard. So it was that like, it wasn't necessarily her herself that was scary. It was the implications of what will happen if we don't kill her. That was scary. Number 4, Redeads from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Zelda's story has some unsettling elements, but it's still kid-friendly. The chilling Redeads, however, turn up in several games. Their face-hugging Ocarina of Time version is by far the scariest.
Yeah, for sure. Like when you're in the dark version of Hyrule Castle, and these motherfuckers just hug you whenever they feel like it. When I was a kid, I used to just, no, I'm not touching y'all. I'm not getting near y'all.
No,
get away from me. Yeah.
And it has that thing, like in a way, Silent Hill 2, something that kind of reminds me of this is with older games, when we started like with polygons and 3D, there's something even scarier about like it not being clear.
Yes.
And that, with the Redeads, that's the juice for the Redeads, because it's like your imagination kind of fills in the rest. So I like that pull.
It's weirdly, because it's almost more immersive in that way, because you have to like imagine it yourself. And you're just creating whatever the hell you're creating up there.
Number 3, Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. It's funny. So as I've said several times, I'm playing this right now, but for me so far, I'm like, based on, because I've been checking in on the walkthrough every now and then, like when I get stuck, I'm pretty close to the end. I would say I'm like 80% into like through the game. And I would not even say Pyramid Head is the scariest thing in this game to me. Like there are some of the like base enemies in this game. They're just these like mannequins with like it's their legs on the ground and their legs like in the air too. And I'm like, that shit's fucking creepy. And like Pyramid Head, I just, it's not been around much. So like that, I think that's part of it. It's when it is around, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm about to die. But so I'm excited to see, because there must be more of Pyramid Head, I assume, in this game. So
that's interesting, because I feel like that about the nurses in Silent Hill. Like I'm sure the bosses were pretty scary, but those nurses were like, get those things away from me.
Yeah, and honestly, it goes back to the thing we were just talking about with the Redeads, like because you can't really see them, like they're so much creepier. But I can't believe I'm going to choose to play that once we're done. Number 2, the Brain Sucker from Bloodborne. Brain Suckers aren't the hardest enemies in Bloodborne, but they're most players' first exposure to the eldritch horror that awaits them. They also literally suck your brains out of your head, so they're more than a bit harrowing. Did you play Bloodborne?
I played Bloodborne through the beginning. So it's so crazy, because you start and like there's that wolf in the beginning, and you're like, yo, am I really supposed to fight this guy?
Yeah.
And you're not, because you're just supposed to walk past him. But I played like maybe like 30 minutes after that. But I will say, like, Bloodborne's art style in general is just like grueling. And I've watched my younger brother play the game, and he's gotten really deep and like twisted, and like
it's so twisted.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I could just imagine what this thing even does.
It's gross. I mean, it's one of those things where like this list could just be all things from Bloodborne, like
for sure.
Whether it's bosses or different enemies. But the brain suckers are particularly creepy. That little tentacle thing. I mean, you can kind of fill in. But all right, number 1, the scariest enemy in video games, according to Inverse, is the Xenomorph from Alien Isolation, which I feel like this is easy.
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it. Like that game is terrifying, and like the hiding from the Xenomorph. We talked about this a little bit in last week's episode. I'm assuming this is a game you didn't play either.
No, I didn't, but I've watched people play this a lot actually, and it is that like hiding and like and that's so Aliens. I feel like
for sure.
And it gives off that vibe, and like you said, that tension of like fuck. Like, oh god, and it is constant. So I could see how they go with this.
It says the Xenomorph is fearsome in Alien, and facing one yourself is even scarier. Hiding from one in Alien Isolation will make you understand why characters in horror movies so often fall apart when the pressure's on. Yeah, we talked about in last week's episode, there's a moment where usually if you're hiding, you're safe, but there's like this one moment where even if you're hiding, you're not safe. And like that specific moment is like, it might potentially still give me nightmares. But so that's the list. Let's pull a couple more from the audience, and then let's hit the road.
Let's just say I'm
Bennett.
surprised I didn't see Dead by Daylight on here.
So that's funny you say that. Bennett, friend of the show, says Ghostface and Michael Myers from Dead by Daylight. Stalkers will literally scare a pile of fecal matter into your sweatpants. Bennett, you always have a way with words. I tell you what. Nick says, when I was a kid, Phantom Ganondorf and the final boss Ganon and Ocarina of Time scared him. I respect that. And then Skylar says Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 remake was stellar. His footsteps were terrifying. Also, I would say just the sound of the clickers from Alone from Tilu and the Rat King from Tilu 2 with the flushed faced emoji. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, I will say like the clicker sound, especially with like 3D audio. I'm like, oh my god,
it's
like
that 3D audio.
That click, 3D audio is good.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, those things are fucking terrifying. I can't wait to see how terrifying they are in the show. Some ones I did want to mention. I made a note. Where did I put it? I'm surprised nothing from Dead Space was on this list. Like you said, like the necromorphs, anything from Dead Space. I mean, I guess if it's only 10, you can only do so much. There's also in Resident Evil, there's this zombie that regenerates. Resident Evil 4, I think it's in. And like, it's one of those things like the first time we're like, okay, you kill this thing and then it just gets back up. And it's like, what the fuck? Like that's like that kind of shit in games, similar to the stalking mechanic is, I don't like that.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's up there. It's up there for sure. All right. So that's it. So yeah, let us know.
The necromorphs are eternal though.
Oh, for sure.
Especially like that deserves an honorable mention.
100%. And do you remember the pregnant necromorph? The one where like it was like this kind of like bigger thing, and like if you shot its belly before killing it, a bunch of tiny ones would come out.
Yeah, and also
nightmares.
I think one of the best things about Dead Space was its jump scares.
Yeah,
and how you just never knew when it was gonna happen. Like you could be walking up to a body and it's on the ground, and you're like, "Oh damn, is it gonna jump up?" And then that one doesn't jump up. So you're like, all right, cool. Wow. Okay. It didn't jump up.
I'm good.
And then like you forget about it for the next body. And then the next body just gets you. So good.
So good. Yeah. I really, I can't wait to play that. But if you didn't already write in, let us know which ones they missed, which ones we missed. What are the scariest enemies and bosses in video games? We'll read them next week. Let's close out the show with an update to the calendar. Last week we ran a bit long, so we didn't get to mention that this week's month of PS Plus for October, you're getting Hot Wheels Unleashed, you're getting Injustice 2, and you're getting Super Hot. I've played 2 of those 3 games, and I liked the 2 that I played.
Is one of those Hot Wheels?
I played Hot Wheels, and I played Super Hot. I don't think I ever played Injustice 2.
How'd you like Hot Wheels? I'm looking forward to that.
I liked it okay. Like I wish I hadn't bought it.
Okay.
So I'm excited for you and anyone else that doesn't have to pay money for it. Because it's fun. It's just I had bought it on the Switch. It was on sale at one point. And I would have preferred to play it for free, but it's not bad. It's just not worth $40. Game Pass for October. You can already get Chivalry 2, Medieval Dynasty, The Walking Dead Season 1 and 2, Costume Quest, and Evil. And then later this week and next week, you're going to be able to get Dyson Sphere Program on the 13th, Scorn on the 14th, A Plague Tale Requiem, one of the big releases of this year, on the 18th, October 21st, Persona 5 Royal, and then end of the month, October 27th, you're going to be able to get Gunfire Reborn, a game I'm not familiar with. And then we also have coming later this year on December 2nd, although I'll believe it when I see it, I could see that potentially getting delayed, Need for Speed Unbound, starring one ASAP Rocky, is coming out on all modern consoles. So weird, but I'm not a big Need for Speed guy anymore. I used to be in my youth, but I do really like the art style of this. It's like a graffiti, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse type looking.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah.
So that might be cool. But, and that, my friend, is the end of our show. Mondo, thank you so much for coming on. This was great. I had a blast. You're always welcome back anytime, but tell the folks at home where they can find you. You said you might have something to share. I didn't know if you meant on the end of this episode or later in the future.
No, and later in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, later in the future.
Where can they follow you? Where can they keep up with you?
But I'll be back. I can be back to talk about it.
Hey, please.
After time, and yeah, I mean, everybody can find me at Chunklethamangu on everything. That is ChaNcleMangu.
Boom.
On everything, literally.
Hell yeah.
See, that's the best part about having an abstract name.
Yeah.
Is like you could count on no one having it on anything you sign up for.
Yeah, I've a few times I've had to be like, do I need to just change because I'm like P-Swag in most places, but I'm Patrick Swag on Twitter because P-Swag's taken and he hasn't tweeted since like 2014. But
I'm like, I can't stand
So
those. I'm like, come on, bro, just give it up.
just give it up.
Give it up.
But yeah, thanks for coming on the show. I had a blast. I hope you did too. Go give Mando a follow, so you know when this exciting news is happening. And you can follow me on Twitter at Patrick Swag. You can follow the pod on Twitter at SpotGamesPod. On Instagram and TikTok, we are at Spotlight Games Podcast. We are also at Spotlight Games Podcast on Twitch.tv. So give us a follow if you don't already, so you know when we are going live, especially later this month when we're doing the bracket to decide the spookiest game ever made. Thank you as always. I don't know how to do this because I'm not smart and probably because I'm go ahead.
Before we go,
yeah,
what's your early pick for spookiest game ever made?
Ooh, honestly, I think Dead Space has a really good shot.
Yeah, okay.
I can go ahead and spoil. It's not going to be either of the Last of Us games. I'm such a Last of Us fan. I can't let that win.
No, they're not. That's not spookier.
And it's not like there are spooky elements for sure, but it's not going to be The Last of Us. I could see it being Dead Space. Honestly, Silent Hill 2, scary as shit. But I think Dead Space is probably going to be one of the ones to beat for sure. Cayman is a big Silent Hill guy, so I'm sure he's going to push hard for Silent Hill. But only one way to find out.
Only one way to find out.
And actually, that's I'm glad you asked that. For anyone in our audience, if there's anyone out there who has played a lot of spooky games that wants to be our third chair for that episode, let us know, because we're looking for someone who's played a lot of spooky games, so that in the last episode, it was our friend Jordan who had played a ton of PlayStation games, and that helps. I mean, I hadn't played all of them either, but it helps if someone's played a lot of them, so that we're not having to just continually kind of, let the other person pick. But we are at the end of our time. I just saw on my phone our friends over at the JK Games podcast. They are just now going live. I don't know how to raid. I think probably because I'm doing it in StreamYard and not on Twitch. So if you're still in the chat, just go to JK Games podcast. Check out their stream. They're about to do a podcast and some streaming of Phasmophobia, I think, which is a spooky game I have not played. But Mando, again, thank you for being here.
Of course.
I look forward to having you back on when you have something that special, fun thing to announce. But until then,
after this wisdom tooth extraction,
Godspeed.
Yeah.
But all right,
appreciate it. Later, everybody.